Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Live Show episode 57 on this beautiful Friday afternoon. I'm your host, Kellen. With me, Tim, today. Tim, say what's up.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
So, welcome back after, well, we didn't get to go Wednesday because we had some other stuff going on, but we still squeezed in a show this week, although it is, again, on Friday afternoon. So, if you're not listening to us live, actually, if you're listening to us live, we apologize for not the normal time. If you're not listening to us live, then you probably are just listening to a recording anyway. So this episode 57, and we got quite a bit of stuff to talk about, which we're surprised because we're kind of in between sort of phone releases. Like the S5 and 1 are out. We're waiting for the G3 and the new Moto and all that stuff. But there's a whole bunch of rumors and some events happening. So Tim and I are going to run through our final thoughts on the Galaxy S5 because we finally, over the weekend, published our S5 review. We'll talk about Google Play edition of that, maybe the Prime version, which is still being rumored to this day. Tim then got to go hands-on with the OnePlus One, so I'm sure he's got plenty to say there. LG is having an event to announce the G3. Motorola is having an event to announce something. There's a second rumor now out there about this Android Silver program, potentially replacing the Nexus program from Google. Amazon smartphone render has leaked. There's lots of stuff going on. It's kind of been a busy week for the most part, actually, surprisingly enough. So let's jump into this Galaxy S5 stuff and get this sort of out of the way. Now, Tim and I on last week's show, which was just you and I then as well. What happened to everyone, by the way? I feel like
They're dead.
our team just ditched us, yeah. Or we need to quit doing these afternoon shows. Anyway, so last week Tim and I did our final thought or our pre-review thoughts on the S5 and kind of let you guys know where we were leaning. Now the review's out, and I guess my sort of thoughts on the device are it's a really good smartphone just in general. Like there's not a lot of really bad things. Just being Samsung and knowing their history of creating these phones that sell millions upon millions and all this stuff. I just came away going, it's just another smartphone. There's nothing remarkable about it. I like the display. I like the camera. Battery life was decent, and then after that, I don't really know how much that I loved about the phone. The build quality, Samsung's kind of plastic stuff, but I found it slippery now with this new matte finish. That metal rim around it is so ugly. Actually, I have it right here. So the metal rim around it is so fake and ugly. The home button situation, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like the flap for the micro USB charging port. That thing's gonna break on everyone. In like 3 months, we're gonna get this like wave of posts going, how come you guys haven't been reading all the forums where everybody's stuff is breaking? This is a big deal. That's gonna happen. The software side of it's not great. The performance of the phone should be amazing. It's got the brand new latest from Qualcomm, and it's not. It lags, and there's some issues. So I don't think we were necessarily harsh in our review. I just don't think either of us. I think we both decided it's just not the phone for us. So it's not a bad phone. We just didn't find it to be a great phone, which I think we were hoping it would be. Yeah. So what were your final sort of few thoughts on the S5?
Well, the positives I took away were pretty much the same positives you've already listed out. Display, camera, the build quality itself. I actually kind of I switched back to the Nexus 5 after using the S5. So, I mean, the Nexus 5 is super light, and when you hold it, it almost feels hollow. It's unnaturally light. So the S5, it does feel sturdy enough, but I don't really care for the look too much because, like you said, the chrome around the edges, and it's a bigger device for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But so the weight was sort of throwing me off going back to the Nexus 5. I mean, having the Nexus 5, it's sleek, it's small, it's easily manageable with one hand. So, like I said, camera, display, fantastic. Performance, trash. Like I did not have a good time using the S5 like I had hoped.
Right.
And when I'm using a phone, I want great performance, and I don't want to have lag and jank and all that stuff. And I got it with the S5, and so I was kind of bummed about that. The waterproof it's nice. I've never dropped my phone in water before. Oh no, I take that back. I dropped a feature phone way back in the day in a pool once, but never a smartphone. And I did, I was showing off to my friends. We were at a restaurant or whatever. I was like, watch what I can do, and I just like stuck the S5 in a cup of water or whatever, and it totally survived. And people thought that was really cool. But so I mean, it does kind of add, a little bit of safety,
It
kind of
does.
a
Yeah.
cushion for it, which is nice.
Hmm.
Other than that, the S5, I'm kind of glad to be off of it. Um, I'm much more looking forward towards the next LG flagship and the Moto flagship. I think Samsung just they took I guess I would say one step forward and two steps back. I mean, they did bump up the specs, but the overall, I would take the S4 over this device. You know, easy to say. So they put more bezel on here, and I just think the performance of the S4 was even better than the S5. So even KitKat couldn't help it.
Which is saying a lot because the S4 had its performance issues as well. So
Yeah.
we kind of knocked it. So we kind of do this breakdown where we go the good, the somewhere in the middle, and then the not so good is kind of how we do our reviews. And the only two that were in not so good were design and performance, but they're pretty bad. I mean, if you think of so. We actually wrote pretty extensively on both of those, and you and I talked about before we came on the air. But the size of the S5 compared to the S4, it's quite large compared to the S4, but the display is only zero point 0.1 inches bigger, so it's not really much if you think about it. But yet it's huge compared to it, so it almost makes it awkward to hold. Like you mentioned, there's extra bezel now that wasn't there in last year's. It's just it's unfortunate.
Yes,
It's a good phone. I'm sure millions of people will buy it and love it.
of
It's
course.
just I don't know. It didn't do anything for us.
Yeah,
So
because we're super elitists.
because we are super elitist. And that sort of leads us into some other topics there. Like we saw on Google's sort of Google Play edition section of phones this week, we saw Google try to sneakily swap out the picture of the S4 Google Play edition with an S5. And we caught it and posted it up, and it's since been removed, obviously. And we still haven't seen the S5 Google Play Edition go live, and we don't know if it's coming. I don't know that anyone has ever given a statement on that. I don't think Samsung has,
I
or
have
Google.
no
I don't think.
official word.
Yeah, so I think we're all sort of assuming there's going to be one. We've never seen it or heard anything about it. But anyways, we sort of caught Google playing with some photos. So if you guys go to the site, you should be able to find that. But yeah, I mean, it's coming. I still don't think I would buy it. You know, like I have the S4
Hmm.
Google Play Edition and I used it a lot last year. Like I think I went from the one M7 unlocked to the Google Play Edition S5, and I used that for a long time until the Moto X came out. So, and I picked it up the other day, and it feels the S4 actually feels really good in hand because it's all screen and all that stuff. But so yeah, I don't know. So we might get a Google Play Edition S5. I still don't think I would tell anyone to buy it either.
I don't know, the home button, devices with home buttons really just don't do it for me. I like the
Yeah.
on-screen buttons.
I
So,
do too. You know, it's funny because they've sold millions and millions of phones, right? And so is
of
Apple,
course.
and they both use physical home buttons. But yet I swear, once you go on-screen buttons, you just don't want to go back to having to physically press in a button. And and then also the multitasking button. So you know, Samsung used to use a menu button, right? And they swapped it this time for multitasking. I'd rather they have the menu button, to tell you the truth, because their multitasking is the slowest thing on earth. You hit that multitasking button and there's a delay. It's like a second and a half delay before it pops up your list of apps you've used. It's worthless. So
Yeah, I completely agree. So,
yeah. So that's all done. And then now we're going to start talking about rumors of this Galaxy S5 Prime, right? Because we've all moved on from not that we've moved on from the S5. We'll still talk plenty about it, but we've moved on from our review, and lots of people are buying it, and people are trying to decide if they should. And now these rumors of this Galaxy S5 Prime or Premium Edition keep coming up. And as much as Samsung denies it, these things just won't go away. And so I think the newest report was a report out of Korea, I believe, and yeah, Asia Today, and they just said this phone's coming in June. So
hmm,
I mean, we're in May. So if there's really a Prime edition of the Galaxy S5 coming in a month and a half,
what a slap in the face
what a
to S5 owners.
right. I mean, they just got their phones, not even what 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Hmm.
and there could be a Prime edition. You know, like I kind of get if Samsung does it, I kind of get why they would, instead of just doing two big releases a year, because they've sort of seen slowing sales like everyone has, maybe they would want to add a third major product in there, right? So they could do one in well, it's early Q2, then do one like in late Q3, and then do one in, I don't know, early Q4, so they could go S series, so they could go like Galaxy S5, 6, and then they could go Prime, and then they go Note throughout the year, kind of spread those out. But it just seems like, and then if you introduce a Prime version, what does that mean for the Galaxy S5? Is that not a Prime? Is that not like a flagship phone anymore? Does that become
Definitely
mid-range?
not. No, it's kind of like those terrible cartoons that used to come out when Apple would release a phone. People would see everyone have, and they're like, "Okay, I got it. I'm part of the in crowd." And then a week later, boom, a new phone is out, and you're a loser once again.
Right.
And you have to throw more money at your display. I think it sucks. I mean, Samsung just spams the market too much, and they flood it with so many products, and not just phones, but tablets especially. I mean, you could get a Samsung tablet in any type of configuration you could ever imagine, be it large, small, mid-size, storage, 4G LTE connectivity. It kind of sucks, and it really, me as someone who talks about Android all day, and then I have people ask me about like tablets and stuff, I'm like, dude, I would probably recommend just getting an iPad because there's too many to choose from. So, and they're going to work.
Android tablets too don't seem like they get very much support. Like
Exactly.
certain software and stuff. Samsung does a pretty good job. Obviously, the Nexus tablets. Other than that, I don't know that anyone does a great job. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. But either way, like you said, the Prime, I'm sure it would be awesome. But after seeing the performance of the S5, I don't know if a QHD display on a Prime is going to do any better. Might even do worse. Who knows? So,
well, if they create this Prime line, is it going to be $300 on contract for this thing? Because the Galaxy S5 is still premium at $200 on contract and $600 to $650 off. So is the Prime now going to be like $800 to $900 off contract? I mean, what are they doing? If they're creating a new version or a new line, I don't understand the point, I guess.
I think the only way we'll be able to tell exactly what Samsung might try and do here in America is to see what LG is going to do, since it's pretty much confirmed that LG is releasing a flagship with the QHD to see. Right. So maybe we'll see how they price it and then see how Samsung attacks that.
Yeah. So does that then drop the price of the S5 down immediately? Like 2 months later? It's just
maybe
such a
the S5
thing.
would go to $99 on contract. I mean, I think that's where it pretty much belongs, $99 on contract.
Well, but, yeah, I mean, if you compare it to, well, like you said, LG is going to do a quad HD. If Samsung's going to follow up with one, it seems like you should probably drop the price of the S5 immediately if that happens.
It sucks again for anyone who buys the S5. If you were actually on the fence right now about if you were going to get the S5, I wouldn't. No way. There's just too much coming out still with LG, Motorola, and possibly Samsung.
Yeah, I mean, LG's going to announce a phone in 3 weeks, so you might as well wait to see that. Yeah. And then after that happens, we could get a new event in the works for Samsung and this Prime thing or whatever. I mean, there's always something coming out, right? Eventually you have to make a decision, but Samsung didn't exactly wow us with theirs, and LG might.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the OnePlus One, if you're thinking about off-contract phones, I mean, there's so much to think about.
Oh, the one. Okay, well, let's talk about this OnePlus One. I mean, I think we've killed the Galaxy S5 now. Yeah. So OnePlus One was announced 2 weeks ago now. I think it was 2 weeks, week and a half.
Like a week and a half. Yeah.
Okay. So OnePlus One's official. You guys know that we talked about it last week. $299, no contract. We don't know how you're ever going to be able to buy one. Actually, they've sort of said late June is when they're going to be more easily available, I guess. But anyways, you got to go hang out in San Francisco with the Cyanogen Mod team.
Cyanogen Inc.
Oh yeah, Cyanogen Inc. Who still creates Cyanogen Mod. What a weird thing there. So you got to hang out with them, and then also spend some time with the OnePlus One. So I think you kind of wrote up a little bit on it, took some video and stuff. But yeah. I want to know your thoughts on this phone. Is it the one? Is it the flagship killer?
Dude. It's not the one, and it's not the flagship killer. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, folks. I mean, it's cool. You know me, my preference and taste in devices is ever changing. 1 minute I was the leader of the Note 2 cult. The next minute I can't stand the Note 3. Oh, it's too big, And so I feel like I'm kind of back because I fell in love with the Moto X. Right now I'm in that middle space, kind of with the Nexus 5, where I don't want too small, but I also don't want too large. The OnePlus One, for me at least, was just too large. For someone who does let me talk about the phone from a more objective way. Like, the phone seems good. It has great specs. However, uh, with the way that they kind of implemented that stock Android, I get it. For people who want to tinker with their phones on a cheaper phone, only $299 for 16 gigs. It's it's a steal. You can't beat it.
Right.
Again, I think it's going to be very limited to who all buys this device. And at that price, it might even be sort of like an impulse buy, you would think. But oh, it's big. I mean, I put it up next to the Galaxy Note 3, and it's just right there, right alongside that. So, I mean, you have to like phablets. It's tall. I mean, it's taller than the S5 by a hefty margin. So I'm a big size guy. I'm a big usability guy with one hand. So if that's not a big deal to you, have at it. The specs: 801 processor, 3 gigs of RAM, I believe they said.
Yeah.
What is it? 13 megapixel camera. I mean, the specs are there. It's great. 1080p display. The specs are there. I just don't think this company that has had such a horrible PR mishap with the Smash the Pass stuff, and people don't even know who the hell they're owned by. I think they're having some troubles, which any startup can have. You know, you're a newcomer, people don't know you, they're willing to kind of throw stones at you. We'll see if they're able to power through that and just release a good phone. However, I don't think it's going to be the flagship killer that they want it to be.
No. They're too small, you know, to really take anyone on. It's an interesting first offering that could, you know, help them create something larger down the road for sure. But yeah, at this point, smaller. yeah, hopefully, yeah, smaller phone. But yeah, it's probably not gonna do much, especially since they don't even know when they're gonna make anything available. So we're still dealing with this Smash the Pass thing, which you talked about, which everyone completely trashed on because they're asking people to destroy perfectly good phones you can sell for a lot of money or donate. So today they announced that they're actually going to let people donate. The odd thing there was they're like, yeah, you know, we could let you donate to Mobile Medic, which is you donate phones to healthcare professionals that work in countries that don't have technology and stuff like that. Anyway, it's a good cause. And then like right after they got done announcing that, they were like, but if you still want to smash your phone, here's a bunch of cool ways you could do it. And it's like, why are you still telling people to smash their phones? When Mobile Medic said, if you donate 100 phones, they can turn that into 1,000 phones. And yet, OnePlus is still like, yeah, but let's smash stuff. Like, I don't know, they're kind of clueless on that front. But yeah, so I watched your videos and stuff, and it just looks huge. Like, you know, like you were trying to. I don't think people realize this, right? But yeah, like when we're at trade shows or something or events by ourselves, you're trying to film stuff and do hands-on. It's one of the most impossible tasks ever. And so you can see Tim like constantly adjusting his hand. And it's because the phone is huge, and that was something they kind of talked about, and we maybe talked about this last week, but how before, you know, when they were hype beasting it, they were like, look at this Xperia Z1. It's only a 5-inch phone, and it's covering up the OnePlus One because it's smaller but has a 5.5-inch screen. Yeah, and anyways, that turned out to be complete BS, and we know the phone's huge. It's like a Note. I don't know, but you know, like you said, the price is impulse area there, $299. You can't really beat that. It works on AT&T's LTE, so if you want, you know, if you don't mind AT&T service, you can use it and actually get LTE. The whole package there is pretty good, especially if you like a big phone. You know, we'll see how Cyanogen does with updates to CyanogenMod, whether, you know, they're pushing out like KitKat and all that stuff. Because is CyanogenMod like 11? It's not even. Is it stable? I don't even follow it anymore. Like they haven't put out like a stable KitKat build yet, have they? I mean, they're like slower than carriers and OEMs at this point, aren't they? So
from what I saw on they kept having to emphasize that the software and the hardware that we were using at this meetup was prototype-ish,
right.
Which is I thought it was BS, to be honest. Like, I don't think that. I think it was just janky.
What was it running? Is it 4.3? Do you remember?
No, it was KitKat. I'm pretty sure.
It was KitKat. Okay.
Yeah. 4.4.2. But
okay.
I saw forced closes everywhere. You know, I'm sure that type of stuff will be cleaned up by the time it launches. But
I hope so.
To invite press out, you know, you want to put your best foot forward in that case, and I was not overly impressed. Yes, the phone was thin. It was, you know, felt well constructed, But
Well, because Oppo made it, so it should.
oh yeah, totally. So you know, I won't rag on it too much until I really get my time with it, like a good week and a half or 2 weeks with it. And I'm able to test the camera and the performance and gaming on it and all that stuff. I like to do my own little tests. So having a couple hours with the device is hard to really give you, a very good idea of what to expect
Right.
in long term. So, but again, any other device in that category of 299, for top tier specs like that. I mean, Blue just came out with a phone kind of like that, except it's launching with no LTE connectivity, and it's launching with 4.2.2, which is embarrassing.
Yes,
So,
very.
I mean, really,
And it's not, and it's like $400, isn't it? It's $100 more expensive or something.
is it 399?
I
Yeah,
think maybe it's
399.
$399. Yeah. So yeah,
It's
what
in
they
that.
did with the
Yeah,
price
there
and
we
the
go.
overall package is kind of crazy. So
Yeah, it's kind of hard to beat, unless I think the Moto X is now 299 too for a little bit. Is that
yeah,
true?
well, it was yesterday. Actually, you can
Oh,
buy it. You can still buy it on Amazon, the unlocked US version for $299. I looked today, so
and that's not a bad little package if you like the smaller phones. Although, again, I would just not buy any phone ever until we know what flagships are coming still from LG and Motorola
yeah,
this year. So,
yeah. At this point, right? You might as well at least wait until you see what LG is doing for
yeah.
sure,
Use a burner phone for a couple of months if you have to. Just
or pick up like a Nexus
don't worry.
5 or something for a
There
couple
you
of months.
go. Exactly.
All right. So speaking of LG, they announced an event for May 27th, a big event. They're doing a big press event in London on that day, and then they're also doing one in New York and San Francisco, sort of satellite events, to announce their next flagship, which they've already confirmed is the LG G3 because they said so in their Q1 earnings.
Hmm.
So that's coming May 27th. They're going to announce it that day. We're starting to see some leaks. We got a good leak last night of two photos, one of sort of an angle of the front, another sort of angle of the back. And it's got, that button arrangement on the back with a circular power button, though, and then volume rocker up and above that. Didn't you say there's maybe an IR blaster on the back? Isn't that where they put it like that and the LED flash sort of straddle the camera lens? It
Correct.
looks big, though, and it's rumored to be 5.5 inches and quad HD. So, although if you look at that, it was a phone that went to Japan that went with a really weird name that leaked.
SIFL.
Yeah. So that thing is like it looks like it's like
It's
90%
all that
screen.
or all
Yeah.
screen. Not all
It's
that.
crazy. So if they can do something similar with the G3, 5.5 inches, I mean maybe the phone's the same size as the G2. You know what I mean? Like they could do something crazy there. So while it looks kind of big, they might work some magic there. LG did last year with the G2. So they could again. It should be that's going to be the phone to watch out for now, I think.
What I absolutely love about LG's take on this is that they don't get in the middle of Samsung and HTC's BS. They let these guys battle it out, and now LG, I have a feeling, is going to come in this year with a phone that just trumps them all, and it's just like, all right, you guys don't give us any crap at all, so we're just gonna run with it
That would be
and
sweet.
blow them away. At least I think they're going to blow Samsung away. At least the GS5. Who knows if the Prime or anything like that? But I
Right.
have very high hopes for the G3, especially from the specs that we saw that were leaked today. Reported specs. Purported.
Yeah. So what were those again? It was like 3 gig of
5 point.
RAM.
Yeah, 3 gigs of RAM. Well, it would come in two variants: 16 gig with 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gig storage with 3 gigs of RAM, 5.5-inch QHD display. Had that back-facing keys, of course. Was it 13 or 16 megapixel camera? 13, I
13,
think,
yeah.
with OIS. I love LG's cameras.
3,000 milliamp hour battery again, and the battery life on the G2 last year was phenomenal. So,
Phenomenal. And they say it's removable. So, I mean,
oh,
if you can remove and expand or enlarge or whatever,
swappable backs maybe then
yeah,
too.
that's freaking awesome. Give me a
Yeah,
break. So,
yeah, that's going to be a crazy phone, I think. So yeah, that's May 27th. We'll be on hand in San Francisco, probably
yeah,
both of us, at least one of us, maybe even both of us. So that should be a good time. So yeah, you guys will want to definitely stay tuned for that. Not sure if they'll have a live feed or anything, but chances are they probably will. This
they
sounds like a
probably
pretty
will.
this sounds like a pretty big event, yeah.
We hope so.
We hope so. And then speaking of other events, Motorola's hosting an event on May 13th in London as well. And they're kind of doing some smaller satellite things for press in the US as well. That event we're not expecting a Moto X. So If you hear anyone say that the new Moto X is coming on May 13th, they are wrong. It's probably going to be the Moto E. So the Moto E has leaked a couple of times over the last month or so. We haven't really talked a lot about it because it's probably going to be a step lower than the Moto G, if that's possible.
Jesus.
So, in other words, it's for emerging markets. This is Motorola's second take on a really, really, really affordable phone that anyone can have for prepaid, and then again for emerging markets. So, they sold the hell out of the Moto G. I think they called their highest selling or best selling smartphone ever, which is to say quite a bit when you think about the OG Droid and all those droids and all that stuff. The Verizon push. So, Moto G was their best selling smartphone ever. So the Moto E is along those lines. They'll probably sell a bunch of it. So on the 13th, they're more than likely going to announce that, and we'll have coverage on that day as well. So the rumored specs there are 4.3-inch 720p display, a gig of RAM, a dual-core processor, 5-megapixel camera, and a 1900 milliamp hour battery. So nothing crazy. The good stuff's coming later. So like Moto 360, the watch, and the new Moto X are coming much later. They said late summer, so we're not even in summer, so don't expect it yet.
Feels like we're in summer sometimes.
Yeah, we had a couple of summer days here in Portland this week, didn't we?
No.
On Moto, though, so Moto X Plus One, a couple of weeks ago, EvLeaks tweeted out that a new product was coming out called the Moto X Plus One. He also said that future Moto X backs could include leather. And so yesterday or last night, I believe is a German site, noticed on the Moto Maker site that if you tweak the URL slightly, you could get it to pop up a site that showed Moto X Plus One. And so the world kind of freaked out a little bit today. And so I guess that confirms that there really is a Moto X Plus One, although I'm assuming that's EvLeaks got it from their website. So I don't know why everyone's so freaking out about it. But anyway, so Moto X Plus One made another appearance today on Moto Maker. We still have no idea what it is, by the way. We don't know if it's a slightly beefier Moto X, if it's a Moto X plus some headphones. I mean, we have no idea what Moto X Plus One means. It could be the new Moto X. No one knows at this point. But it showed up again, and
could be an accessory.
Yeah, it could be an accessory. That's exactly right. It could be an add-on to the Moto X.
Yep.
Who knows?
Plus One. I think the Plus One name is just so stupid.
It's very stupid, which is why I think it's like an add-on or an accessory or something, yeah.
Yeah, if it is a phone, I will be deeply disappointed in their naming scheme.
I will be too. People please just stop removing the word one or the digit one from their phone and product names.
And plus.
and plus. We just need to move far. I wish we could go a decade without somebody naming their product the one.
There's so many ones.
Although X needs to go away too.
X has been around much longer than one, so I also feel that X needs to go away.
Droid X2, Moto X.
There's a few characters in the English language that get used a lot, like G, X. There's just something about them that have like a powerful punch to them. Why not Q or like J
or N?
I like N or T.
Yeah, something different than not X and G, but anyways, that's happening. So, events. May 27th is LG, May 13th is Motorola. That's sort of all we know so far. Let's talk quickly about this Google or Android Silver program that's been talked about now a couple of times. So, The Information, which is a group of journalists, at least a couple of which are from the Wall Street Journal that now started this own publication, they had sources say that Google's creating this Android Silver program, and it's going to replace the Nexus program. And essentially what it's going to be is a top-tier line of phones where Google partners with manufacturers, except it won't have like Nexus branding. I don't even know if it'll have Silver branding. That just could be a code name for all we know. And what they're going to do is take these phones, and there can only be, I think, like up to 5 at a time or something like that are under the Silver brand. And then they're going to sell them through carrier stores where Google is apparently going to have Silver experience sections and fully trained staff on the Silver experience. And they're going to help you, migrate from one phone to a Silver phone and some other things like that. And, yeah. I mean, LG and Motorola are thought to be the first couple of partners. Samsung, HTC, and Sony may be still on the fence about it. And there could be 24/7 support through something like Hangouts on these phones. Could be like Amazon's Mayday service. It's an interesting idea. So earlier in the year, or maybe it was the end of last year, that Eldar Murtazan character said that 2015 Nexus program would be dead and it would be replaced probably by something else. And so I sort of talked at the time. I said, if they're going to kill the Nexus program, they still need hardware to at least release new versions of Android on or something like that. Like, you can't just kill the Nexus program and then just not have any sort of hardware closely affiliated with Google. You have to. And so we talked about maybe the Google Play Edition could turn into that, and it sounds like that's kind of maybe where this is going. So rather than having Nexus and Google Play Edition, you could just have Silver. So Google may not brand their own devices anymore, but they're going to work closely with partners to create Google Play Edition-like devices, have software on them, updates on them, reduce the bloatware, all of that stuff. So interesting idea. I will miss the Nexus program if they get rid of it. That will be kind of sad, but I guess if they're still going to closely work with people to create phones, that's probably not too bad of an idea. So, I don't know, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, pricing is my main concern. The Nexus line is widely available due to its pricing. People can afford it. It's fantastic hardware with fantastic software that runs well and performs well for cheap. For at least, that is affordable. I wouldn't say cheap, because what is cheap, But it's affordable, and I think that's great. So in the Google Play Edition devices are much more highly priced, and I almost feel like they are a ripoff and a scam, essentially, in terms of price. And so I really hope that whatever this is, they at least attempt to try and keep the price down. It's not just like a Samsung flagship with Android slapped on and with like premium support or anything like that. Kind of like just what a Google Play Edition device is. So pricing, just keep the pricing low, Google. And of course, I'll miss the Nexus program. I love the Nexus logo, and I just love everything about the Nexus and what it has represented since it began way back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been on Nexus phones for a while. Once they kind of became, because the Nexus 1 was kind of tough to get, and that was like the early days. After that, I mean, you and I both had the Nexus S. Obviously, we had the Galaxy Nexus for a long time. And then I switched to a Nexus 4 for a long time, even though it didn't have LTE because I liked it so much. And then obviously both you and I loved the Nexus 5. So yeah, it would be too bad if they, I would say Nexus phones are probably my most used over the last 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely. Regardless of what people say about the Nexus phones, they always have like huge benefits of getting timely updates, having good hardware for the time. The only one that I didn't really care for was the Nexus S, but I did love it at the time. It was like the best thing you could have because it had gingerbread, and gingerbread was the greatest thing since like sliced bread. And it was great. Galaxy Nexus, poor thing, RIP, that thing.
Poor thing.
I use that phone so much. I mean,
I do too.
Everyone still has that phone. We did a poll not too long ago, and it was still like a big percentage of people still rocking my G-Nex.
Yeah, we forgot to list it because it's over 2 years old. It's like 2.5 now. Yeah, and everyone went, what about the Galaxy Nexus? And we couldn't believe that people are still using it after 2.5 years. It's crazy.
So we shall see. But I will. I'll pour one out for it if it goes away. But Google, I'm sure, has an idea of what they got going on, so I won't question their authority.
Yeah. I hope they still do a Nexus phone. I'll do all the silver you want. Still give me a Nexus phone. That's what I think.
Just call it a Nexus. I don't care.
Yeah. All right. So Amazon, and we don't really talk a lot about Amazon products, but we seem to have lately with the Fire TV, which you and I have actually both kind of like, and then this new Amazon smartphone, which we don't have a name for yet, right? Do we even have a code name? Yeah, we don't even have a code name, I don't think.
I don't know.
Anyways, BGR posted a render of it. Not the actual phone, but definitely a render.
Definitely a render.
And it, I think you said it. Yeah, you did say in your post about it that it looks like a combination of a Nexus 4 and an iPhone, and that's exactly what it looks like.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, the backside reminds me of a Nexus 4. Yeah, and the front looks like an iPhone. That's interesting.
Yeah, the whole wraparound body side of kind of like that. The wraparound essentially is all iPhone with the 2 screws on bottom, that single port with the dual speakers. I mean, it screams iPhone.
It does. Oh yeah, it does totally have a single like physical home button.
The bezel looks humongous with a home button. I mean, are you kidding me? It's probably one of the more boring devices I've ever seen. It looks poor. And again, this is could be just a concept. But the
It
bezels from
could
what
be.
we see here is
Yeah.
terrifying to say the least. I mean, the screen is what 3.5 inches. I mean, who knows how big this thing is, but
Right.
it
Yeah, it's
doesn't
supposed to
look
be 4.7 720p, which is,
720.
which is fine. That's what the Moto X has. But
Yeah.
yeah, the
So it's a
render,
smaller
you're right.
device.
It looks like all sorts of bezel.
It's
Well, I guess
awesome.
they had to fit
That's like
18 cameras or
75%.
something in there.
Exactly. 6 camera sensors? Are you kidding
Six.
me?
So
Yeah,
it can do
four at each
nine
corner.
effects. Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? The tilt gestures. It just sounds really kind of like a
Sounds like a giant gimmick.
gimmick device. But who knows? Maybe Amazon can pull something. They have to do something outrageous to get them into the market if that's what they're like the
Right.
smartphone market. If they're trying, they have to bring something new to the table. And if gimmicky gestures and 3D like stuff is going to be it, then
Yeah.
we've seen that play out before, and it's not very good.
They certainly have.
Who knows? And
Yeah.
they were talking about the Prime data. I mean, they're going to do something. I'm sure Amazon has a plan, much like
Yeah, they'll do
everyone
something
else.
with data for sure, just to
Yeah.
yeah. They'll do something because they always try to do something a little bit different, which is kind of cool, and I like that they do that. But I don't know, forked Android, just the Amazon App Store just is painful to use.
That is the one of the worst applications in
It
ever
is.
created.
It really is.
And all the apps on there are always outdated, and sometimes they're just the app you want is not there, and that just seems like a
Yeah.
very uh, non-supported environment platform, for users and developers.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned that the other day too about updates for apps on Amazon, and I completely forgot about because I haven't used that app store in probably 2.5 years.
Exactly.
But you mentioned that, and I'm wondering, I'm curious, like how often do developers actually update apps? Like if somebody pushes, a new update to Dropbox, like how long does that take to get updated on Amazon? Is it the same day? Is it a week later? Is it 3 months later?
It's a good question.
I guess we should probably know that, but I just haven't used that thing in so long that because you have to keep it installed if you want their apps, which is
Yeah.
painful.
My only problem being that I don't know if I'm going to have the same exact, access to applications as I do on Google Play, and God
Well, no
forbid
Google, no
iOS.
Google apps, obviously.
Exactly, and major apps too, like QuizUp and certain games like that, that just aren't on there yet. And there's
Right.
no reason they shouldn't be. Technically, it's Android. I mean, just throw on the same damn thing. Just submit it to Amazon.
Didn't somebody, it was like Koch or something, one of the big developers wrote up long ago that Amazon's developer policies were terrible. Like
Mm,
like pricing, how you wanted to price your app and do all this stuff, like they basically had full control over
full control because they were doing that free app of the day stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, maybe developers have just been kind of scared of it. I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know anyone who publishes anything to the Amazon App Store, but maybe it's time for us to start looking into that
Yeah, is
because
Covert
I'm
not
curious
posting
now.
icon packs there?
I highly doubt it.
Highly doubt.
Cove Dev, I'm going to check right now, though. No Cove Dev.
No Cove Dev. All right, so that's coming eventually. I think there's a rumored sort of time frame about that around that phone, right? Like in the next couple of months, like maybe June or something.
It's a
Amazon might announce
June or July
it. Okay.
is when the official announcement is coming. I mean, the phone's done. If that's when it's coming, the phone is done. They're just waiting to announce it
We're
and
just waiting now.
prepping it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll probably try to get a hold of one if it's anything decent.
Oh yeah, we'll follow it for sure.
Yeah. All right, so quickly, Verizon, Sony, Xperia Z2. Actually, let's back up for a second. Xperia Z2 is Sony's obviously new flagship that was announced. They do this at MWC. Is that where that
Correct.
was? Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone went, this could be the greatest Sony phone ever. The bezels have slimmed up a little bit. At least the display's edge to edge. But it's like 1080p and it got all these new specs and the camera and the body and it's waterproof and all this stuff, right? Kind of like their other phones, but it was bumped up in all the right places. 3 gig of RAM, stuff like that. And then last week, Sony told Engadget the phone is not coming to the U.S. anytime soon whatsoever. And when it does, we're only going to sell it as an unlocked model on our Sony store. And I don't know if you guys have looked ever when a new phone hits their Sony store, but it's ridiculously overpriced. Like they're almost always like $700 or something. They're crazy expensive. And then they also said the Z1 Compact's probably never coming to the U.S. So with that said, we got a picture this week on Google Plus from the official Sony Xperia account of a Xperia Z2 with Verizon branding on it. And so, we all kind of got a little excited. I was actually a little excited. I would love for this phone to come to the US so we could see a good Sony phone finally here. But we posted it, right? And Sony's PR contacted us later after they had pulled the post and said that it was just what did they say? It was just a render with a Verizon logo that somebody screwed up. Oh yeah, a mock-up
A
image
mock-up image. Give
was
me a break.
mistakenly posted. It's not a
I,
mock-up image.
yeah, that thing is legitly has Verizon branding on it.
Yeah, I mean that's a Verizon phone laying on a rock that somebody took a picture of. It's not a mock-up. It's so. Anyways, that got posted. We all went, wait, what's going on? Are we only getting an unlocked phone this summer? Is Verizon releasing this thing? What's going on? And Sony just said, no, that was a mock-up. And if you're interested and excited about this phone, look forward to the unlocked one. So we have no news on it, but we know there's a Verizon model that exists. We just don't know if you're ever going to be able to buy it. It's kind of too bad. I'd love another option in the U.S., but Sony just can't get their shit together.
Foot in the door.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they did that Xperia PlayStation crappy. What was the Xperia Play? Is that what that was called?
Yeah. How many
Right.
years ago was that?
That was so long ago. I remember when that came out on Verizon. Everyone went, it's like a Nexus. It runs stock gingerbread. And once you kind of dove into settings and stuff, you realize it wasn't really stock. It just kind of looked stock.
Yeah.
What a bust that phone was.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, Xperia Z2 with Verizon branding probably not coming anytime soon. In other news, Sprint is apparently, well, we got some new news on this actually since we've started the show, but there's a report out of Bloomberg that said Sprint is going to make a bid for T-Mobile in June or July. Lots of billions of dollars tossed around in the post. So SoftBank, who owns Sprint, or the majority of Sprint, they're apparently going to prepare to make this massive bid. And so today, the New York Post just said that even if they do make a bid, there's no way it's going to happen, I believe. I believe regulators are already saying they won't let it happen, potentially. So,
Makes sense.
yeah, so there's that going on. I personally don't want Sprint to buy T-Mobile.
No way.
Right. So T-Mobile announced their earnings this week, and they reportedly gained 2.4 million new subscribers. Verizon only added like 570,000 in the last quarter, and AT&T would only say roughly a million. So T-Mobile added almost double what those two combined added, which is kind of crazy. And then Sprint, of course, lost like 600,000 subscribers or something. So T-Mobile's doing the right thing. While they didn't make money because they're spending tons on these on paying off people's ETF and then also the marketing stuff. So they didn't make money yet, but obviously if they get new subscribers and they continue to stay there, that will change over time. But yeah, I think if Sprint bought them and they became Sprint instead of staying as T-Mobile with, like if they didn't keep John Ledger on for some reason and they change anything, that would just be terrible. Like they're doing cool things, right?
Yeah.
So that's happening. But now there's, new reports.
Now they're saying no way.
Shutting that down.
Well, good. Because that would suck, dude. Like, I don't want some company gobbling up a company that's doing well,
Mm-hmm.
And that would be just another, the Japanese company controlling more interest in America's telecommunications industry. And for me, that doesn't sound like the best idea. Like, we got to keep some of this stuff American, right?
Well, I mean, doesn't like Deutsche Telekom or something own T-Mobile anyway? So it's not like they're really American.
Yeah, I mean, T-Mobile US. I mean, you got to keep that US in the name at least. Either way, I don't know. I'm not much about the politics and all that stuff.
Right.
I love seeing what T-Mobile's doing and shaking up the industry, and they're doing such a good job of it, and I don't want that to stop. I want, and Verizon and AT&T, they're having to change everything they're doing because of the moves T-Mobile is making, and the people it's benefiting are the customers, consumers, and people like that. So if that's what's going on, then I want it to stay like that because people are paying too much.
Oh god, I was just gonna say, how screwed did everyone get when? So there's like that. I think it's been almost 2 years since Verizon introduced tiered data. Remember when that came down and the prices just went through the roof, no data at all, and the prices still went up. And so that went on for like 2 years where everyone was just getting screwed,
Hmm.
except for us that like hung on to unlimited data or whatever. But it just screwed everyone that had to go on to these tiers and all this stuff. And then T-Mobile comes in and starts changing all this, and now we're starting to see AT&T's bumping up data, Verizon's bumping up data. They're not changing their prices, so they're giving you more data for the same price. They're offering more value and all that. So yeah, I mean, even if you don't like T-Mobile, what they're doing is changing what the other carriers are doing for sure, and it's giving you more value for what you're paying for, which has been nice. So yeah, if they got gobbled up by Sprint, I would imagine they would try to kind of continue some of that what they're doing right now, but
Right.
I'd rather be under T-Mobile than Sprint. I don't know why. I just would. Yeah.
I
I just
just
don't
feel
like
more
Sprint.
comfortable. Yeah, I just don't like Sprint. I think they are the worst, at least in terms of network experience.
Yeah.
I've never had to deal with their
Exactly.
customer service, luckily. I
Right.
say luckily because I'm sure they're lovely people, but
Yeah.
I like
And their
to.
phones are fine and all that stuff, but yeah, I'm with you. The
Of
network
course, they get the
experience is
phones,
so
but
bad.
exactly, you can't go anywhere. I mean, I've been with you. We've been downtown Portland, and I can't even make a tweet or like post a photo to
No.
Instagram. What is this?
No.
Give me a break.
Yeah, give me a
So
break. That's right.
embarrassing.
So embarrassing.
Sprint.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to talk? Actually, I think I turned the Q&A on. Do you want to take a couple of questions if anybody gave any?
If there
Forgot
are
about that.
any, sure, I'm
Let's
sure we
let's
can
let's
take.
look here. Let me load it up. I totally forgot about Q&A.
Oh, there's a couple.
Oh, there's a couple.
Kind of. Well, no, not
Well, that
really.
guy's
It's like,
waiting for the iPhone 6. Oh, and that girl is. And she also said Samsung are professional trollers. Wow, that girl really doesn't like Samsung.
God, she's pissed.
All right,
Can't blame her.
there's not really any question. Well, this person said, who do you think, I think is what they meant, who do you think has the best camera on Android? Who would you give best camera on Android to? We'll just
Um,
answer this one and then we'll move on.
LG or Samsung. Hard to tell. I like LG's photos, but I kind of like Samsung's software, I guess you could say. I don't know. People were saying that the G2 camera had problems, but I never really experienced any problems, or at least shutter
Mm.
speed. I never really saw any
I,
problems with that.
I just thought it was super fast. Has multi-point autofocus. So awesome. I love that camera.
Yeah, it's a good camera.
Yeah, I would say favorite software is Sony, or I'm not
Mm.
Sony, I'm sorry, HTC. I don't know how I just got those mixed up.
Yeah,
HTC software and performance of their cameras, the One M8's camera is the fastest mobile camera ever. That thing is instant, and I like sort of the UI and all and the modes and some of the stuff they built in. I just obviously am not a huge fan of the 4 ultra pixel deal, so
right.
that's tough to say. I would say software like HTC's. Picture quality, yeah, it's definitely a toss-up between Samsung and LG. Samsung maybe taking it. The Note 3 used to take some stunning pictures. It was just
That's true.
slow.
Yeah, it was slow.
It was just slow. What is 5 plus 5? That guy wants. So people are like spamming questions now.
10.
Here we go. Do you think we've talked about this. Do you think the 1+1 will matter in the US? I
Yeah,
mean, to like
sure.
to tech people, it matters.
Yeah, to
To
Android enthusiasts.
Yeah, to 99% of the world, it doesn't matter. It's not like they're going to advertise it here, right? You're not going to see it on a billboard, in a commercial, in anything. It's a word of mouth thing, and they're going to hope that it sells probably on. Eventually, they'll probably put it up on Amazon or something, or otherwise, I don't know how they're going to sell any of these things. They'll probably sell quite a few in China. I think people there are pretty excited about it. Here, though, I don't know. It's a tech thing. Like tech people know about it, no one else knows about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Although I will like to mention that I posted a photo of the OnePlus One on Instagram. It's my most liked photo ever with 225 likes. Are you kidding me? And it's just like a picture of the backside. I didn't use any
You
tags
can
or
even hashtag
anything.
it, right? Yeah.
No, and it's just like people from all over the world just liking it up. I'm great. I'm uber popular, but I mean, the phone just does not really. It doesn't draw the attention. It's a very plain looking, subtle device. I don't know. Maybe people are so stoked about it, and we just don't have any idea.
I think it's just such at least sort of exciting idea because it's so cheap, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, kind of crazy that it's your most liked ever.
Yeah, I have a lot of good photos, and that kind of hurts. Like I put a lot of time and effort into my filters, and people just like this unfiltered 1+1 shot. So,
People love the 1+1.
guess so.
Yeah. Let's see. That's kind of it, right?
Yeah.
Forgot to tell you guys all to submit questions.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. All right, let's talk a couple apps,
Okay.
and then we'll think about wrapping up for the weekend. So you got apps you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got a couple of apps. First, I want to talk about Up To, which recently, I guess, relaunched onto Android. Apparently, there was a widget form of the app before. Did
I
you
believe
confirm that?
so. I believe so. Yes.
Either way, it relaunched on iOS. This app calendar became insanely popular because you are able to add layers to your own personal calendar. So, say for example, I wanted to add all of the Portland Blazer games to my calendar. I could simply search for that layer and add it right to my calendar, and I can kind of what's that?
Yeah,
Pinch in and out
little
of
pinches in.
yeah, whichever layers. I can create my own layers, personal calendars, and upload those for other people to follow. So say if we wanted a Droid Live calendar, I could do that. We could put events on there and all that stuff, and people can easily follow it and add it to their calendar and all that. It synced just fine with my Google account, which was a plus. I didn't have to change over anything and import or anything. It just automatically synced, which was a very nice touch. I know you were using Up To as well. Is there anything you'd like to add on top of that besides it's a really cool calendar?
Yeah, I've sort of tried to adopt it as my full-time calendar, at least on my phones. The UI is really nice. Like when you scroll up or down, there's multiple moving parts and things. It looks really nice. Um, and then I really like that you could add on like special calendars or whatever, right? Like I already had like the Blazers schedule because I created that long ago because I'm super nerd like that. But like there's an NBA playoff schedule,
Mm.
so I tossed that on so I know every single game every night, so I don't have to go find it in like in like a sports app. It's just on my calendar. Like you can throw like a Game of Thrones on there. Obviously, Game of Thrones is on every Sunday, but you could there's like a Game of Thrones calendar. There's like a Shark Tank calendar. I mean, there's calendars for things like that. I did two for music releases and movie releases. So
Mm.
like every time there's a new album comes out, I think what is Tuesday music album day.
Yep.
So they're just on your calendar. It says like these people are coming out today. So like Ray LaMontagne had a new album come out last week, and I was like, oh sweet, I'll check it out. So like that's kind of cool. And yeah, it does pull in all of your calendars kind of automatically and syncs everything, which is really nice. The only thing is on the One M8, it took like 5 hours to sync, or it was just having issues. So I had a bunch of issues there, but I had none on my Nexus 5. So, but otherwise, yeah, it's a calendar app I've been using, and it has a widget too. So I've been using the widget. But solid app for sure, and it's free, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Completely free. No IAPs.
no IAPs whatsoever. So
Yes. Um, yeah, and I have one other app which is just silly. It's called Make It Rain, Love the Money. I think that's what it's called. Make It Rain, Love the Money. I'm gonna link it here in the chat.
I was gonna say I need to look at this thing.
It's a very interesting app. So what you do is you start with no money, and what you do is you're given a here. Let me open it up for you and show you what we got going on here.
Oh, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
All right, come on, load up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Start with nothing, but then
I'm
you
rich now.
buy.
Yeah, so you start out with these bills, and you
Look
have
at it just
nothing.
raining.
Yeah, I'm raining, so I can flick bills and make it rain even more. And so I have a few investments. So what you do, the game is based on you have investments. That way, when you make it rain, you make more money. So and you have these like cash buckets, and that you fill up over time. So say when you're not making it rain, all your money, that is you have invested is being put into like a savings account or something like that. There is no real point to the game at all. You just sort of see how much you can make it rain. And you have to make your bucket bigger to save more money, and you can get bigger investments. Like you can do political investments, like buy a local judge or hire a former senator. You can do a whole bunch of weird stuff, and you buy businesses. Apparently, you can make billions and billions of dollars theoretical money in this game. And yeah, all you do is you just make it rain. It's
I'm
pretty
just
fun.
reading the description. Like even in the description it says, is it a stupid game or are you just following behind your friends and looking for excuses?
Yeah.
It's a 4.5-star rating on Google Play, and it's got over between 10 and 50,000 installs.
That's why I tried. I saw it on the trending chart, and I was
Okay.
like, oh well, if it's on trending, I just got to try it out real quick. The graphics, and it actually is not that bad. It's very stupid. Like
I'm
all you do is
installing
flick
right
your
now.
finger and just make it rain. But
I'm
It's kind of
installing it.
awesome. You get sort of addicted because you want to, buy a flower cart to make more money rain.
This is
So
awesome. All right,
it's pretty
I'm
great.
installing. I don't think I have any apps. There hasn't been well, there's the LeBron Samsung app if anyone loves LeBron that much.
Yeah, you gotta have the LeBron hat.
Otherwise, I don't really think I've installed anything new.
Oh,
No, not really. We did our top 5 apps and top 5 games of the month, though, if you guys want to check that out.
yeah, we did.
I know
That
we
was
talk
a
about push
list.
bullet all the time, but it got a big update. Google released standalone apps for docs, sheets, and slides. Well, not
Correct.
slides yet, did they? We're still waiting for that one, but we're waiting
Real
for one
quickly, I
more.
do want to touch on the list that I did make for the top.
Oh
What
yeah,
was it? Top
top 5 games.
of April, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I had XCOM Enemy Unknown on there, which is $9.99. Totally worth the price, though. I mean, it's like a full PC port to Android. It's really great. I also have, oh gosh, what was it? Oh no, I feel terrible now because I don't know.
Oh no. What do you need
But
to know?
I do need to know April games. I was going to do a quick Google search. That way I can pull it up and.
It's right on the homepage, just so you know.
Oh, it is?
It's like a little shortcut to in the featured column.
Oh, thank you. I got it. All right. So, oh, of course, The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
That launched
that's
on
awesome.
Android, and that thing is awesome. I've been playing it on the Fire TV, and absolutely love that game.
Hello, pants.
Hello, pants. Don't
Hello.
tap the white tile. That is completely free and also completely very. It's addicting and weird, and the graphics are terrible, but it's a cool game. Don't forget about Impossible Road. It's $1.99 on Google Play. That's my go-to game at the moment. Impossible Road is freaking awesome. Although, uh,
Make it
Making
rain.
It Rain might be my new go-to. Either way, Impossible Road. I had Epoch 2. That was the one I was thinking of. Epoch 2. It's the sequel to the first Epoch. You play as a robot who has to protect a princess, but unfortunately, you've lost a princess, and now she's in the middle of an army of between two robot armies. Between a war of two robot armies. There we go. So yeah, that and XCOM Enemy Unknown. Those were my top 5 of April, and they're all great. April was a fantastic month for mobile gamers.
Good month for apps in general, I think.
I agree.
Like we got Mailbox, we got Carousel, we got
Mailbox.
Up To, we had some. Those are good apps.
It was a good month. I hope
I'm
May
just,
can live up to it.
I'm just looking at play music for Make It Rain songs. Who knew that Colby Calais had a Make It Rain song?
Gucci Mane has a few Make It Rain songs. It's called Making Love to the Money.
I was gonna
That's
say
like one of
no,
my favorite
no
songs.
Gucci, but not Make It Rain anyway. But
Uh,
all right, I don't think I can play. I don't think I can like share and play a theme song as we roll out of here. So any other final stories?
no, I got nothing. Looking forward to a new month.
Yeah, we're in May now. It's kind of crazy how fast. Like we've already seen the release of the Galaxy S5 and the One M8 reviews of both. We're almost to LG. Before you know it, the new
Google
Moto
I/O.
X is going to be here. Like it's getting crazy.
I
We already
think
got an invite for CES to book our hotel.
we keep forgetting about Google I/O. Like Google I/O is coming. And
I
think
forgot. You're right. Google I/O is coming. That's in June.
yeah, that's gonna be sick.
Wow. Lots of
So,
stuff coming up. So yeah, I mean, this once we hit midsummer and then going forward, everything usually gets pretty awesome. So it's going to get awesome around here.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And the Blazers are going to beat the Rockets tonight.
Yeah, I hope so.
Close out that series.
Can't stand floppy beard.
Houston fans that are listening.
Sorry guys, but your team is mean. Beverly's mean. Parsons is
Flop.
mean.
Flop, 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 flop.
Flop.
Yeah.
Flop, flop. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I got nothing else. So it's Friday. We'll wrap up. East Coasters getting late for you. You got to go party or something now.
Excellent.
So thanks for joining us on this Friday afternoon. It's episode 57, Droid Life Show. We're out. Peace.
Deuces.